Welcome back to Knut's Top Sibelius Tips. This week we're going to be looking at the layout. Now the layout is something that I think a lot of new arrangers kind of just like skip over almost. I've seen so many scores where you have like one system, one bar to a system, and it's horrible. And they're like 30 pages long for like a 3-minute pop song. Don't do this. You really do need to make sure that the music is presented correctly, because not only does it look really bad, but it also makes it more difficult because there'll be a lot more page turns. If you use stuff like coders, then people are going to have to like skim through, 3 times the amount of pages. So definitely don't skip doing the layout properly. Doing the layout doesn't have to take very long, but it will make a lot of difference when you're rehearsing. If you haven't seen the previous episode, that one is all about using samples when you're arranging. So I'll link that on the screen so you can check it out if you haven't already. Be aware that in this episode, I am still saying option when I mean command. This has been kind of a running thing with these episodes, as I recorded a lot of the footage for it all on one day. And so, any future footage I record, I will definitely not make that mistake. But yeah, whenever I say option, what I mean is command. I do put the right symbol on the screens, so just follow the symbol, and when I say option, just like tune that out. I actually do just mean the command key. Tip number 1 for doing layout. Do the layout last. I mentioned in a previous video that you should be working in panorama mode while you're arranging, because it takes away that hurdle of layout and you can focus exclusively on the music from start to finish and not worry about page turns and stuff. Because the structure of your arrangement might change as you're working. You might decide, oh, actually, I'd like to add another chorus here, or I'd like to extend this section by a few bars. If you've already invested time in doing layout, then you're going to have to start redoing layout again. It's just pointless, waste of time. So do yourself a favor, just do it last. Tip number 2 for layout. Use double bar lines and rehearsal marks in your arrangements. This is just a helpful way to navigate arrangements. Unless you put in stuff like double bar lines and rehearsal marks, it might not always be clear where each section starts and ends. But if you have a double bar line that indicates the end of a section and the start of a next, for instance, you put it right at the start of a chorus, then that kind of gives your performers like a visual cue, like, oh, double bar line, new section. You can also, and I usually do this, stick a rehearsal mark on top of that double bar line to then let the musical directors say stuff like, let's go from letter B. And then all the musicians can quickly scan the page, be like, right, that's letter B, that's where we're going from. Let me show you how to do this. This is a work in progress, obviously. What I need to now try to do is to make it easier to navigate the score when you look at it. So if I'm just going through this quickly, like there's nothing indicating to you where each section of the song starts and finishes. This is a verse, chorus type song, and so you can illustrate where the verse finishes and the chorus starts using double bar lines and rehearsal marks. So it starts every time I touch there. Now everybody asks me why. Now there's a new section happening. Melody is different, the harmony is different, the bass is different. So you press that bar line, like so. You'll see it's selected in purple. You go to notation, bar line, and double. And it does that. Now notice how suddenly there's like a separation. This is one section of the song, that's a new section of the song. So when you just glance across it, you'll be like, right, there's a new section coming here. Now you can add here a rehearsal mark to make it even more obvious. Those you find at text, rehearsal mark. I genuinely just use the key command, which is option R. Boom. And it says A. So then if the conductor says, guys, let's go from rehearsal mark A, there's a big fat letter there showing everyone that's where letter A is. And so I recommend you do this for all your scores. I generally just use A, B, C as my rehearsal marks. I could also have written, in this case, pre-chorus. And then I just go right click, text, system text, make sure it's system and not staff. And I could use musical structure. And I could write pre-chorus 1, for instance. And then you might want to just make that bold and probably a bit larger, like so. Maybe not quite so much, but like, so it's really obvious. You just glance and you see, right, pre-chorus 1. That's where it is. It saves time in rehearsals. Tip number 3 about layout. Put the title of the song on every page. I don't know why, but for some reason, Sibelius does not put the title of the song on every page. And this is problematic if you've got a bunch of sheet music and you don't know which page belongs to which score. Say that you, for instance, drop them and they get all mixed up. Then if the title isn't on the pages, then how are you going to know which one fits to which score? The good thing is it's really easy to add this in Sibelius. You can do it either directly or as a wildcard. And I think if you're doing very simple scores, then you can just write it in. If you're doing something that's a bit more complicated, it might be worthwhile to use a wildcard. Let me show you how to do this. Right, so I've got this score and I want to put the title on the top of every page. So you see, in order to do so, you need to make sure that hidden objects are in view. And you can see that something's hidden because it's a gray sort of text. If you go to view and just make sure that hidden objects is ticked, then you can see them. You see, if I untick it, that disappears. So as I said, by default, Sibelius doesn't show the title on the top of every page. So first of all, you want to select this and then press Shift Option H to unhide that text. So now it says full score on top. Now there's 2 ways you can add the score to the top. The first one's obvious. Now, yeah, so just ignore this box because it just tells you that there's some substituted text or there's a wildcard being used here. You don't need to worry about that. Just press no. And then you see the wildcard's right here, header part name. So yeah, you can add the title in 2 ways. First of all, you can just write it in, which is usually fine for simple scores. Love on top, like so. And then that's all you need to do. Now it says that on the top of every page. So if you're carrying a bunch of music and you drop it, each page will say the title, so you don't need to worry about your pages getting jumbled up. So yeah, that's one way of inputting the title. You can also use a wildcard or substituted text. That's more useful if you have a more complex score, you maybe haven't finalized the title, and instead of having to worry about editing it on every page, you can use a wildcard, which will then take text from this page. So if I change the title here, that changes everywhere where it's used in the score. So to do so, same as before, you select it like this, you no to that. And then you select this bit, and I might have to just change my keyboard here. Right, so you can see from header part name at the side there that this is the structure of a wildcard. It's /$. And I think the wildcard for title is just title and slash. And there you go, love on top, full score. Now if I've wanted to change this to, I don't know, love on top and just write Beyonce. Right, let's just ignore the accent. Do it like that and then go in. Then you can see, oh, it's added it automatically. It's not done it here because this is not a wildcard. I don't know why, but anyway, there are situations when a wildcard's useful. For very simple scores like this, where everyone's just going to be given the full score, you don't need to worry so much about it, but it's good to know about it in case you ever need it. Those are 3 tips on how to better do the layout in Sibelius. The next episode is going to be about sort of the final touches you can put on a score, and it'll be more of like miscellaneous episode. That's coming out in a week. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you'll be informed when I release new videos. You can like me on Facebook and you'll be told of any like news or stuff that's happening with me. And yeah, share this video if you know anyone who you think will find it useful. And I'll see you in the next episode.